U.S. veterans of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan planted thousands of flags in the nation's capital this morning to commemorate the thousands of vets who commit suicide every year. Cronkite News reporter Imani Stevens is live in Washington, where she heard from survivors and family members of those victims.
The volunteers started planting flags at 6 a.m. and it took close to 5 hours to place 5,500 flags in the shadow of the Washington Monument, each flag representing one veteran or active service member who has died by suicide this year.
Every last one of us had a friend or a family member's name in mind as we planted these flags. Some of us standing here could have been one of these flags.
A survey by the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America found that most of its members have been touched by the suicide of someone they know.
Our latest member survey shows that 65% of our membership knows somebody who has attempted suicide, and 58% know somebody who's died by suicide.
The most recent findings by the Department of Veterans Affairs found that there were 17.5 suicides for every 100,000 veterans in the U.S. in 2016. In Arizona, the veteran suicide rate was 44.1. In 2016, more than twice as high as the national rate. Melissa Bryant, who was stationed at Fort Huachuca, says it touches all ages.
Even though the Vietnam era is the largest cohort by sheer volume of numbers for those who are dying by suicide, there's an alarming rate of those 18 to 34, the post-9/11 generation. We're dying at a much faster rate by suicide than was previously recorded.
Patrice Sullivan saw the struggle in her high school sweetheart after he served from 2000 to 2004.
When he got home in 2004, he was really struggling. He just felt like he didn't fit in. And then 9 months later, he died by suicide. And so March 13, 2005.
Planting these flags gave Sullivan a moment of reflection.
Every time I plant a flag, I said his name out loud because I think it's important to still say their name. Today, I was frustrated, but I was hopeful, because you have to put yourself out there for things to change.
The IAVA says 20 veterans or active duty military commit suicide every day.
For the last 17 years are coming home and they're struggling with transition, and we're finding that active duty troops are struggling even while they're still on active duty. So we must have a whole of government solution to this epidemic.
Today's flag planting was just one event in a week of activities designed to highlight the issue of veteran suicide. After planting 5,520 flags on the National Mall, the volunteers were scheduled to head to Capitol Hill to lobby with members of Congress. Live in Washington, Imani Stevens, Cronkite News.